Welcome back to episode 5 of Greezyz Gurage, Project Murica. Guys, long are gone the days of power steering pumps. I'm telling you, we are going into the electric power steering world. And today, that's exactly what we're going to show you, how you can have power steering on your Crown Vic front end for your F100 and no more power steering lines. That's my favorite thing about this whole kit, is I don't have to put power steering lines and run power steering fluid on anything anymore, thanks to Range Industries. Range Industries now offers a kit where that you can bolt a power steering rack and pinion from a 2015 to 2023 Mustang onto your Crown Vic front end, and it's all bolt in. There's no fabrication, and actually there's really only a little grinding you have to do, but I'm going to show you a little trick that I learned that makes it a little easier, and you're going to have to cut off the front ears, and I'll show you that to you in a second. But let's show you what comes in the kit. Obviously, you're going to get the bracket, okay? I've already installed these, but you're going to get new inner tie rod ends, okay? Here are the old tie rod ends, just to show you. You do get bump stops. You get your bumps. This one had orange on it. I put orange back in it. Okay, and it comes with the 3 colors. There's 3 different colors. I can't remember what the other 2 colors are, but this one had the orange in it, and I put the orange back in it. All right. If you've never installed or uninstalled these things, you take the boot off. There's a special wrench you buy. You take it off. Super easy. There's a lot of videos on how to do that. All right. So you can. This is an extra cost. It doesn't come with the kit, but they also give you the electrical kit. We'll hook this up later. I'm not hooking that up today in this install video, but let me just talk about real quick about what this is. They give you this install kit here for the electrical. The big plug gets a number 6 gauge red wire, a number 6 gauge black wire. Black's for ground. They want you to run the red directly to the battery. That's what they tell you, to run it directly to the battery with a 125 amp fuse in the middle. Okay. The second plug, all you need to do is hook up one wire. They give you instructions on how to do it, which wire it is. Hook up one wire, like a 12 gauge wire, 14 gauge wire, and run it to a 12 volt ignition on. So here's how this happens, because everybody's going to say, oh, you have to have a computer to run these. No, you don't. Okay. What's going to happen is you're going to turn the key on. It's going to power this thing. It's going to look for the computer for 5 seconds. Once it doesn't find it, it defaults and works. That's all there is to it. So you can sit there and turn it with one hand. Now, so we've already installed inner tie rod ends. We've already installed our outer tie rod ends that were threaded, the correct thread. Okay, so they take care of all of that for you. But let's talk about the front sway bar. You notice my front sway bar is not mounted, and the reason why is because you have to mount this first. Because this, you have to make this work around this. So it's most of the time it's going to have to be slid more forward. So that's why we do not have our front Crown Vic sway bar mounted. We'll mount that later in another episode for you, and it'll go on there. So, but I want to take you over to the car. I want to show you a few little modifications you have to do to that Crown Vic, and then we're going to mount this on, and you're going to find out how super easy this is. All right, so now we are over here. I realized that I said I'm going to take you over to the car because it's Crown Vic front end, but we're at the truck frame, if you will. Hey, and here, let me take these bolts out here. If you've ever installed one of these kits here from Range Industries onto your truck already, comment down in the section. Tell us what you liked about it the most, what you found to be the easiest, and maybe there's something that I'm not covering, or maybe that you found that maybe is a little different, easier than what I've done. There's always better ways to do it, so just comment down below if you've done it before. Now let's talk about this. Now, if you remember on the Crown Vic, if you're looking at your Crown Vic front end, you're like, you don't have those, I don't know, they're tabs or whatever. There's this big old huge tab that comes out. You have to, the instructions say you can leave them on, or you can cut them off. I can tell you, I cut them off, and I'll tell you why. You still going to have to grind this down right in here, this section. If you cut them, if you don't cut these ears off, you're still going to have to grind this down, because there's going to be, and I'll show it to you in a second, there's going to be a bolt that has to go up through here. With those ears in the way, I found it just way easier to cut those things off. That would be the only thing that you really have to modify on these to make this work, because it's really just a bolt in after that. Let me grab the bracket real quick, and let's mount that bracket up here for you, and I'll show that to you real quick. All right, so we have the Range Industries. If you'll notice, they machined these out to fit right in here. Right in here. But here's where that bolt goes up through. And see, and you have to put that bolt up through there, and so you have to grind this back anyway to get that bolt up there. It's easier to cut it off. You're not losing any strength anyway. You put those in. Tighten those down. Obviously, I'll tighten them down with a tool, but you're ready to put your rack and pinion on. That's how easy it is. Once you've changed out the inner tie rod ends and you've put the inner tie rod in, that bolts right to that, goes there, you wire it up, you have electric power steering. So let me get this tightened up. We'll cut you back on, and then we'll put that rack up there for you and show you. All right, we got that bracket tightened up. So now we're about to put this on. Really simple. Slide it on, set it on top. Now this is why I say cut the ears off, because this is already that simple. Put that nut up there. And these do go from the bottom up, by the way. Okay, so we'll get those tightened up there. But that pretty much is your install. One of the things I didn't talk about, and I'll talk about it now, is these do have a stud. You know, the original rack and pinion had a stud that stuck out. It's an 8mm socket. You can knock that off. Those are 15 millimeters. Tighten those up, and you will see this. I'm going to show you a little tip, a little secret. Your boot's going to rub on this bolt. This bolt normally would stick from the top down, so you have to stick it from the bottom up right here to mount your Crown Vic front end on. So I went and rounded off the heads. I rounded those heads so they wouldn't have any sharp edges, because that boot's going to ride over it. It's part of the game. Nothing you can do about it. Maybe there'll be somebody who invents something for that. But then your tie rod ends. Get that adjusted. Well, help if I brought it in from the right side. I'm trying to take it from there you go. All right. And we'll get that rest of that way in and get that tightened up. But that's all there is to it, guys. Putting that in is pretty simple. All right, now I want to talk about, because I forgot to talk about it before. You have to put a rear sump oil pan on these. You can put a front sump oil pan on your, that's the 351 Windsor. You can put a front sump oil pan on there. Kyle recommends. That's adjustable. He sells the things that can get your engine up higher to get your front sump to clear this. But he recommends putting a rear sump on it. One of the things that's just going to happen is, you got your front drain plug here for the front. It's not touching it, but you are going to have to fight around with that when you drain your oil out here. My buddy told me, he said, just park it on an incline and let it drain out. That's probably not a bad idea, but you're going to have to fight with that a little bit. But anyway, there you have it. Now you have electric power steering from a modern car. This came out of a 2022 Mustang that was wrecked in the rear, and it had like 3,200 miles on it. And I picked it up here local for 250 bucks. No power steering, pump's my favorite thing. So stick around on episode 6. We're going to start the 351 Windsor. We're going to put the radiator support on, put the radiator in it. We're going to start that up and let you hear this engine run for the first time. Love you, appreciate you, God bless you. Now go do America.